pray you retire unharmed to Damascus.
Have you been at war?
Jerusalem is easy to find. Whoever dies here today.
Now, finish this.
He was my friend. I'm yours.
Welcome to Screen Recaps, and today we're going to be recapping the movie Kingdom of Heaven. On a chilly winter day in 1184 France, a solemn scene unfolds as two men and a priest prepare a grave for the woman, rumored to have taken her own life. This woman, the spouse of Balian, a blacksmith, and the half-brother of the priest, draws attention. During the priest's examination, he discreetly acquires the cross necklace adorning her neck. Suddenly, a group of crusaders passes on their way to a distant village. The lifeless body is decapitated and receives a burial deemed inappropriate due to the severe stance against suicide in the Catholic faith. Balian, mourning the abrupt loss of his wife and stillborn child, is freed from prison under the bishop-priest's orders. As he visits his wife's grave, the priest mocks him, but Balian chooses to ignore the insult and brush off the remark. Returning home, he resolves to release the ties to his family, symbolized by burning their possessions, opting to resume his role as a blacksmith alongside his apprentice. The Crusaders, led by Godfrey, the Baron of Ibelin, pay a visit to Balian. Godfrey, introducing himself as Balian's father, proposes taking him to Jerusalem, but Balian declines, leading Godfrey to depart, still hopeful for a change of heart. The priest overhears their conversation and later convinces Balian persistently to leave the village, aiming to claim his property. Pushed to his limit, the priest reveals the fate of Balian's wife, who had committed suicide, preventing her from ascending to heaven, provoking Balian's fury. He violently dispatches the priest, taking his wife's necklace. Seeking forgiveness and redemption, Balian catches up with Godfrey, who teaches him swordsmanship. During training, Godfrey's nephew warrants an arrest for the priest's murder, initiating a brutal fight. Godfrey, refusing to surrender Balian, defeats his nephew but suffers a fatal injury from a broken arrow in his ribs. The Crusaders, accompanied by Balian, continue toward Jerusalem. At the pilgrim camp, Lysian, Godfrey's stepson and heir to the Jerusalem throne through marriage to Princess Sabila, rudely insults Godfrey. Upon reaching Messina, the port to Jerusalem, the dying Godfrey knights Balian as the Baron of Ibelin, urging him to serve the king of Jerusalem and its people. After the ceremony, Godfrey succumbs to his injury, and Balian sets sail for Jerusalem, honoring his father's wishes. In a storm, Balian's ship wrecks, leaving him and a horse as the sole survivors in a desert land. Claiming the horse, Balian faces two Saracen horsemen, a master and servant, who demand the horse back. Refusing, Balian fights the master, resulting in his death. In need of assistance to reach Jerusalem, Balian spares the servant's life, seeking help to reach his destination. Upon reaching Jerusalem, Balian generously offers the servant both the horse and freedom from slavery. Grateful, the servant warns Balian about the significance of the Saracen he killed and advises caution. As Balian navigates the bustling streets, Godfrey's remaining men observe him, noticing the sword he carries. Balian, aware of their presence, responds confidently to their inquiries about Godfrey, earning acceptance as the new Baron of Ibelin. Godfrey's servants warmly welcome Balian to Jerusalem, where he explores the mansion, marveling at its grandeur. Princess Sabila visits the mansion later that day, searching for Balian. Instead of introducing himself, Balian humbly offers her a drink. Sabila, perceptive, gives him a knowing look before leaving. Balian meets Tiberius, the marshal of the office of Jerusalem, and a close friend of Godfrey. They discuss Saladin, the infamous leader of the Saracens, and the conflicts arising from the peace pledge between the king of Jerusalem and Saladin. Balian encounters the leper king, Baldwin IV, the ruler of Jerusalem, who holds deep affection for Godfrey as his teacher. The leper king, afflicted with leprosy, invites Balian to a game of chess and imparts the wisdom that one is their own soul's keeper, regardless of whom they serve. Showing Balian the city's fortifications, the leper king seeks his suggestions for improvement, and Balian skillfully provides ideas, earning the king's favor. Stepping onto the land of Ibelin, inherited from Godfrey, Balian addresses the drought issue. He instructs his people to build a drainage system for irrigation, earning respect for his dedication. Sabila visits again, staying in Ibelin while her husband travels east. Over time, Sabila grows fond of Balian for his nobility, and they inevitably become secret lovers during an intimate night together. Amid the tranquility in Ibelin, Guy conspires with Reynold of Sadion and other Templars to massacre a Saracen caravan, violating the king's peace pledge and leading to retaliation from Saladin. By the Leper King's decree, Balian is tasked with protecting the villagers of Cairhroch. Despite being outnumbered, Balian and his men bravely charge at Saladin's cavalry to allow the villagers to escape. The battle intensifies, resulting in Balian and his men's defeat and capture. Reunited with the servant he freed, now revealed as Saladin's chancellor, Balian's kindness is repaid with mercy. As Saladin's cavalry and the Leper King arrive, a negotiation takes place. The Leper King promises to punish Reynold himself if Saladin's forces retreat to avoid bloodshed, a deal Saladin accepts. In a fit of fury, the Leper King commands Reynold to kiss his disease-inflicted hand and beats him, leading to the Leper King's collapse in exhaustion. Reynold is arrested by Tiberius and sent to prison. These events weaken the Leper King, who believes his time is near. Summoning Balian, the Leper King declares his nephew as the new king and appoints Balian as the commander of the army of Jerusalem, offering Sibylla's hand in marriage for protection. Balian rejects the offer, fearing Guy's execution, leading to Sibylla ending their relationship. After the Leper King's death, Sibylla unveils his deformed face, shocking her. Guy pressures Sibylla to keep him close for their son's safety, maintaining his claim to the throne. The coronation of Sibylla's son is successful initially, guided by Sibylla, but it becomes evident that the new king is infected with leprosy, the same disease that claimed the Leper King's life. In the aftermath of Sibylla's son's painless state, she succumbs to grief, unwilling to watch him suffer from leprosy. To spare him, she poisons him, plunging into depression and madness. Dain, driven by desperation, heeds Reynold's advice to eliminate his rival for the throne, Balian. Ordering his men to assassinate Balian, Din succeeds, leaving the path clear for Guy's sinister plans. Guy releases Reynold to instigate a brutal war against Saladin, involving the killing of Saracens and Saladin's sister. Saladin, enraged by this heinous act, poses a threat to the peace pledge. Following Sibylla's son's passing, Sibylla is coronated as the queen's successor, and Guy, her estranged husband, becomes the new king of Jerusalem. Havoc awaits them. As expected, Saladin demands retribution for his sister's death, the heads of the perpetrators, and the surrender of Jerusalem. Guy arrogantly responds by beheading the emissary, sparking a war. As the Jerusalem cavalry readies for battle, Balian unexpectedly appears before the war council, urging them not to leave the city. Guy refuses to listen to Balian and pushes through for war. Tiberius sides with Balian and removes his knights from the assembly, making Guy even more eager to go to war to claim the glory and victory. Tiberius' men and Balian are left behind to protect the city. As Guy's cavalry march toward Saladin's encampment, his men become thirsty, fatigued, and even collapse from dehydration as the scorching heat of the desert land overwhelms them. Saladin takes this as an advantage and mercilessly kills all of Guy's armed men, decapitating all their heads, including the infamous Reynaud, but sparing Guy only because he was unworthy to be killed by a king. Tiberius sees Guy's fallen men being eaten by a flock of birds, which makes him hopeless, hence his decision to leave Jerusalem for Cyprus. However, Balian remains faithful and is determined to protect the people of Jerusalem and goes back to the city. Balian devises a plan for defense in hopes of holding the Saracens long enough for them to come into terms. Outnumbered and without knights, Balian faces the challenge of discouragement and criticism from the Patriarch to flee instead of fighting Saladin. Balian, with firm resolve, ignores the patriarchs, ignites the men-at-arms and those capable of bearing arms to make them a better fighter, which gives them the lasting impression of knighthood. Anticipating a protracted battle, Balian is resolute in holding out as long as possible. The war unfolds with Saladin initiating attacks, hurling fireballs at the city walls, causing damage. However, Balian deliberately refrains from retaliation, preserving their counterattack for the following day. Over 3 days, the assaults on Saladin's cavalry increasingly favor Balian's side. Executing strategic plans daily, they gain the upper hand, inflicting more casualties on the Saracens than Christians. As Saladin realizes the tide turning against him, he comes to terms with Balian, acknowledging his firm resolve. Saladin proposes safely escorting the people of Jerusalem to other Christian lands in exchange for surrendering the city. Balian agrees, and as they retreat to their respective sides, Balian asks, "What is Jerusalem's worth?" Saladin replies, "Both nothing as a city itself and everything to the people bound by faith and devotion to God." Returning to the city, Balian declares the surrender of Jerusalem, assuring the people of safe transport to other Christian lands. Amidst the celebration, Balin is hailed as the defender of the people. Seeking out Sibylla, he assures her that her brother's kingdom lives on in the hearts of the people. He proposes that if Sibylla renounces her position as queen, he will come for her. As preparations for departure unfold, a humiliated Guy challenges Balin to a duel, a feeble attempt met with defeat. Despite Guy's shame, Balin spares him, leaving a message. When you rise again, if you rise, rise upright. Saladin enters Jerusalem, appreciating its glory and holiness as his people settle in. He reverently places a cross on a table, respecting the Christian faith. Balian bids farewell to Saladin's chancellor, his Saracen friend, who returns the horse. Accepting it for his journey, Balian departs the city. Spotting Sibylla along the march of the people, he offers her a ride, emphasizing that a queen should never walk. Sibylla declines, renouncing her role as the Queen of Jerusalem, choosing to walk hand in hand with Balin. Returning to his changed village in France, Balian reflects on the man he has become, shaped by the teachings of Godfrey, the leper king, and his experiences in Jerusalem. England knights visit seeking his aid in conquering Jerusalem from Saladin. Balian, known as the defender of Jerusalem, humbly sees himself as a blacksmith. The King of England introduces himself and they depart, leaving Balian to his life. The film concludes with Sibylla and Balian passing his late wife's grave. Balian bids his final goodbye and respect. Together, they leave the village, embarking on a new chapter in their lives.
I thought I was done.